this morning on ITV TMI. Join us.
Thanks again for joining us on the show TMI Monday. Today on the program, our discussion will again focus and center around the fight against corruption. But there is an aspect we are focusing on. What is that aspect? Today, the issue of corruption is at the front burner. Just when you want to allow the dust generated by a revelation to settle down, something crops up in another place, and we're just having a pileup of allegations of corruption. Now, on the part of Nigerians, they want a situation wherein those who are alleged to be corrupt to either be executed or more drastic action is seen taken by the government. The reasons are not far-fetched. One of the riders or the drivers of this present administration was a declaration of war against corruption. So once someone is alleged to be corrupt and is in the public domain, the average Nigerian wants a drastic action to be taken against that person. What is their interpretation of a drastic action? Maybe you get the person picked up and then you throw the person into jail. But there is a due process. There is a laid down procedure for doing things. I was saying earlier on the show that if you don't follow the due process in dealing with an issue, that in itself becomes corruption. In most of the allegations of corruption that we have heard, you have an administrative panel set up to look at it, and then the report is submitted. We have several cases in that direction. You have the case of the suspended Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babache Lawal. You have the case of the National Intelligence Agency and a couple of others. And Nigerians are wondering, these guys were alleged to be corrupt. A panel of inquiry was set up to look at it. The reports have been submitted. Why is there a seeming lack of action on the part of government to deal with this issue? The reason being that there are other procedures that needs to be followed to logical conclusion until that happens. So today on the show, on our discussion on the fight against corruption, we'll look at the impact of administrative panels and then the semi-slow process of prosecution, how these are impacting on the fight against corruption. Joining us now, I have in the studio Bishop Austin Igbasan. He's a regular on our program. We're glad to have you here, Bishop. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This suit you're wearing is really bishop-like. I also have with us here in the studio a social worker. He's also a public affairs commentator. I'd like to thank Comrade Christian Osegale for joining us on the program. Thank you for coming, Comrade.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
Comrade, you are wearing suit this morning. Does it look like a comrade?
No, at times you have to do some paradigm shifts.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Well, in the course of the discussion, our studio line will be open so you can also contribute to what we're looking at and then make your comments on this issue. Okay? Yeah, so let's begin from the basics. Yeah. Once an allegation is made, administrative panel is set up to look into this issue. That seems to be the beginning and the end of the matter. That's the way it seems with the present administration. I wanted to build on that, Comrade.
Obviously, it's not as we look at it basically. It's when you have so many problems begging for attention, you try as much as possible to see how you manage the crisis. The issue of fighting corruption in Nigeria today is a crisis itself. As a conflict affair student, I will tell you that there are various mechanisms of handling crisis. And if you are not careful, you discover that you miss the mark. You know, before this government came, he told Nigerians, and that was a referendum in my own humble opinion, that one, he was going to fight corruption, two, he's going to fight insecurity, and three, build the economy. And in the final analysis, he now said, you cannot build the economy that of a nation that is not secured. So it needs a nation to be secured before the economy of that nation can be built. And there are, like you said, legal procedure in fighting corruption. And you discover that over time, since he came, on the basis of that referendum, a lot of us voted for him because we believe that the greatest problem of Nigeria is corruption. Every other thing are secondary. And now that he's fighting it, all these things you are seeing now, they will certainly come in play, because in the history of this nation, we have never experienced what we are experiencing today. And, you know, when new things begin to happen, a lot of people have different opinion on that issue. So, the beauty of it all is that the man in the saddle has not shifted at all. And it's not, if you look at our constitution, there are what called the executive arm of government, the legislative arm, and the judiciary aspect of it. But he cannot now become a judge automatically. His own duty is to identify the criminals and tag them as criminal and allow the process of the judicial to take its course. And I just read on paper yesterday that the CJ has just received a list of high-profile corruption cases. It's a gradual thing. We are moving there. The greatest news for this nation is that for the first time in the history of a nation, we have a leader who have made corruption a daily slogan. And everybody is key into the rhythm. And that is whether you are for or you are against. If you are for, you are accusing him of not fighting it well. If you are against, you are accusing him of not fighting it well. If you are for, you are appreciating him for having the political will, the boldness to kickstart the process. My dear brother, the story of nations globally is not a 2-year journey. Nations over time evolve from stage to stage. Nigeria, for the first time, have kickstarted the stage, and the man is not bothered by the sign of the wind, because you know the Bible. My bishop is here. If I'm wrong, he correct me. I think Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4 talk about. He say, if you look at the wind, you will not plant, and if you look at the cloud, you will not harvest. And the man is not bothered about the wind or the cloud. He's focused. He knows where he's going to. And let us not be carried away by those gimmicks of those where it's happening to the report. I said it on this platform some time ago. If I now see that Baba Chalon is not coming back as SSG, then there is a problem. We should not be like Pharaoh. Is it Pharaoh now? That asked for the head of John the Baptist. Herod. John the Baptist was preaching the good news. The woman was uncomfortable. Well, against his will, the king imprisoned John the Baptist. And the woman still want the head of the man on a platter. Are you going to eat the head? What was important was that the king want the man to remain in the prison. No, the woman said the man must die. So that if we kill Baba Chalona, will it make the fight an easy thing or the benefit of everybody? Okay. The issue is this: every issue will not be swept into the carpet. There is a time. But the joy I have, for the first time, I am proud to be a Nigerian, that we have a leader who really means to fight corruption. And the good news is this: the instrumentality he is using is not the one that put them in place. People put them in place and they refuse to have to garner the political will to kickstart the process. The process has started, and every monster that will stand on wheel of progress will be crushed. I assure you that.
Okay, you're talking like a politician now, especially during campaign. Let me come to you, Bishop. The Abdul Rashid Menas case brought a different dimension to this whole discussion, especially against the background, for what is available, that this man was alleged to have embezzled pension fund, and then he was prosecuted by, he was declared wanted by the EFCC, and then we started hearing that this man has been around for so long, and all of these organs of government that are in charge with fighting corruption, to a large extent for what is available, seems to be in the know that the man has been around, and nothing seems to have been done until the president got to know about it, and then of course sacked the man. What do you make of all of these in this fight against corruption?
I want to appreciate my fellow discussant for building a platform that the government has a political will to fight corruption. But I want to begin to analyze so many things that will make you know that I'm of a contrary view to it. We were told that minor has been going up and down in convoy. And I thank God one of the aides of the Mr. President also established that minor has been around and he has been going on convoy, that he doesn't use only one car. He's on convoy, and the man was reinstated. A letter was sent by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, and the man resumed work, and he was working, he was given double promotion. This is a man that the matter is in the front burner, and the man have to escape at a time. And how did the man come into the country? These are questions to be answered. Now he came to resume work. Minister of Interior is denying, I'm not the one that called him in, but he resumed work in that place. And the letter was sent from the Minister of Justice. And that Mr. President sacked minor is not a testimony for me. I expected him to sack Minister of Interior and sack Minister of Justice, who ordered, because if you are going to deal with a thief, you also deal with the person who buys what the thief steals. You can, if there's a market for the thief to sell whatever he steals, there is no how you can control the operation of the thief itself. Because if the minister sits down, is the chief law officer of the federation, he advised the president on legal matters, and this kind of thing happen and the man resume work. If there is no, if there's no outcry, how many people will have known that minor is back to civil service? We talk about minor. What of Ibrahim Lamode, who is now head of SFU in Lagos? How many people will believe it is not only minor? Do you know how many people that have come through the back door? Recently, there's somebody that was retired in NPC. He was retired, but when they came aboard, it was no appointment. His own age was falsified and brought back. He's still serving in NPC now. So, we are talking about corruption. We've talked about the issue of Abayari is laid to rest today. He is also with Mr. President on a daily basis. We have talked about the issue of a Secretary of Government of Federation. In my place, they said if you are going to use 10 years to practice to practice madness, that is, how many years you go take enter market? If you are now doing the hazard of madness for 10 years, how many years you go take Chris? And there's an adage that if you have a bad charm, until you kill your own brother with that charm, outsider will not fear you. How do you prove to us that you are fighting corruption when people who surrounded the government, who are seated and discuss the affair of the country, and even man and head agencies? There are issues about Ibrahim Magu. Let's forget about where the matter comes from, but the content of what he was accused of. But today the federal government stood their ground, and the man today is at the helm of affair, even against the law and constitution of Nigeria, that the man is not supposed to be in active capacity. Up to now, he operates in that dimension. Is that not corruption? Are we saying that apart from Ibrahim Magu, there are no other people who are sincere, who are officers, who can head this agency? That is one side of it. That man today, who is illegally operating as the head of EFCC against Nigeria Constitution, because you cannot use illegality to fight illegality. And the man today is standing and presiding over that particular agency. That is one side. The Chief Justice of the Federation, we need the fight we fought before the man was confirmed. And that is the due process that must be followed. Is the man corrupt? The man is not corrupt. Have we been able to trace anything to him? Nothing. Now, if there's nepotism, if there's nepotism in government, you want to say that is not corruption? When we have issues that are raised, even serving ministers today, we said a minor home. That's not a testimony. What about the people that brought him back into the office? If president is not aware that minor has been inside the government, then that shows that the president is not in charge.
Okay, let me just ask a question as a follow-up to some of the issues that you raised, Bishop Austin Igbasan. All of these issues, as viewed by some analysts, is that they are allegations. If an allegation is made, you've not been convicted of that allegation made against you by a court of competent jurisdiction. Would the president just go ahead and take this action?
And kill.
And then when he takes that action, isn't that tantamount to corruption? That's where the issue of administrative panels and prosecution and how it impacts on corruption.
And also,
you talked about Kyari,
yeah.
You talked about Lamode,
yeah.
You talked about Magu, you talked about so many other people.
Yeah.
These are allegations around these people.
No proof.
These allegations have not been proven in a court of competent jurisdiction. If the president decides to take an action against these people based on this allegation, wouldn't people see that as corruption, as it were?
Okay, the issue is that, number one, let me give you Rotimi Amechi as an example. More than 72 petitions are written to that about him, but today EFCC has not invited him once. Does a minister have an immunity that if you are alleged, you cannot be invited? Is that not corruption in itself? If somebody was alleged and EFCC, the organ, cannot invite them and say, sir, you have been alleged, come and state your own side. Is that a fight? And those petitions today are carrying muko inside one file.
Yes.
And we say we are fighting.
And
the man has not been invited once. The petitions are there. People wrote petition and they are not hiding. It's not anonymous petition, but no single person. What about the issue of Kayode Fayemi in Ekiti State about Subeb Boni? That even House of Assembly have to go to EFCC and say, call this man. What has happened that that man has not been invited? Is it also a wrong thing for that man, Oga? There's a petition in our office against you. Come and state your own side. Does the law say the man cannot be invited? If a Senate president can be shortly between CCB and the National Assembly, can a serving minister
and he remain in the seat?
No, I'm not even talking about the judgment. I'm talking about inviting a man that was alleged. Did the law also say when a man is alleged, the man cannot be invited to come and write his own side of the statement? Is that what the law says? No. That when a man is alleged, you don't call him because he's a minister. Because he's a minister, he has an immunity not to be invited. If a Senate president can be invited to write a statement in police station, then what happens to a serving minister? That's where we're talking about the will now. It's not about writing. Somebody can write a will and say, I share this house in Ekewa Road to my son. They might not exercise and may not even act on that will in 30 years' time, even after the death of the man. Then that will is useless. If there is no action put in place to share the property that is in the will. What I say is that these people are alleged. The president has come back now. Even in the court of law, it is stated that even the administrative panel has no power to indict those people. What do we do from there? If this report has been submitted and it's taking us 3 months and no action on that report, police have not been invited to go over the report of those guys and follow the we are talking about the due process now.
Yeah.
Now, this report has been submitted and the court of law in Nigeria said that administrative report is not a final analysis. You cannot act on that one. Now, and we know that that is what the law says.
Yeah.
What stopped us of going ahead and invite police, EFCC to call SGF, former SGF or suspended SGF and the NIA, they are still on salary. They collect their salary. Then who is deceiving who? What is now the man you are still talking about now have access to his office, have access to those who are working with him before. He has access to command someone to do one thing or the other. Then what do you bring out of that? It's going to take us 6 months to bring the result of the report out, not acting on the report. By the time we now say this is what the president is saying, we will now say, oh, the president cannot act now because the court of law in Nigeria said administrative panel does not have power to indict anybody. The matter must go to court, and those organs who are assigned to investigate, the court will not act on the report of the investigative panel, but they are going to act on the report of EFCC or police. Yeah. What stops the presidency of calling those guys into this matter to investigate? A panel report has come out, EFCC, police, go over this report, make your investigation. If the man you are talking about want to stop the investigation, that's why he's suspended. It doesn't stop him or stopping it because he has his men in that office. Okay. He has his men there. Then what are we waiting for? If it will take us, my brother said here that, oh, we thank God, we are excited, or we're Nigeria. We travel every time, and we see the way we are still being humiliated at the airport in UK and other places where they give us thorough screening. So let us not celebrate anything. Okay, the celebration should be that this kind of report come from the secretary. Let us look at it. The secretary of the government of federation is the local president. And if a man in that office can do this kind of thing, and up till now, nothing has been taken over it. We have seen the president acted on issues that are in this direction from other persons. Then what stopped us of using these people who are close to us as a symbol to say we are sincere about it?
Okay, let me pause you there. Call it, Kristen, sorry, I almost messed that up. He just raised the fundamental issue, which of course is the cornerstone or is the heart of this discussion. The impact of administrative panels and then of course subsequent prosecution in the fight against corruption. It looks like what some have said, that the government of the day sets up these administrative panels to divert attention. Would you subscribe to that?
Honestly, no. You see, at times when I look at most of us in this country and hear so many things, I begin to wonder which nation do we actually praying, are we really praying to bequeath to our children? And I listen to my brother, he's a bishop, and I believe he has congregation. You see, when I begin to speak as an activist, you know I'm an activist, I expect a bishop to speak.
No, let's not. Just hold on. Let me guide you properly. You're making it look like it's a personal issue between you and the bishop. No, he expressed himself on key aspects of the discussion based on the information available to him. You cannot judge him based on what he said. No, I'm asking you a question now. The administrative panels looks like a distraction or a delay tactics or is diversionary in dealing with the issue. Administrative panels are set up, they've done the investigation or carried out their sitting. The report has been submitted. What is happening to the report? Doesn't that look like it's a tactics to distract attention?
It is not. What I'm trying to say, the bishop, prophetic utterances. From what I say, he has congregation. I may be one of the congregation.
Forget about this
what I want to say
yes,
is
that's
the utterances.
Yes.
I want to see hope, utterances of hope for this nation from men of God.
And then you leave out the real issue.
No, it's not leaving out the real issue. The issue is I get your point, sir.
No, you don't. If you get my point,
I get your point.
Respond to my point.
Well, your point is
respond to my point. Yeah.
They are not delay tactics. They are not a way. They are not in any means pushing the matter under the carpet. Like I said earlier, the problem are fundamental. Like this Neman's Gate, that is the issue. Look at Vanguard newspaper of Saturday or Sunday. You see how the looting was shared between 2010 to 2013 or so. Look, as you are reading it, your anger is increasing. The next thing you will look for a gun to go and kill somebody. Look at how they were distributing.
We encourage that.
No, because it's so annoying.
No matter there is a due process. Even that alone is corruption.
No, you see,
will do that.
That's corruption. You see somebody sitting down in his office distributing common patrimony of a nation as if it was even your own. You don't distribute like that. I was sharing it when I was reading through. This is horrible. I think it has come to a point where we should begin to decree and pray that such people, their portion should be in the lagoon. It's horrible. I know somebody some time ago cried in this Lagos, this Benin or Lagos road. A minister was weeping on that road. For 16 years, that road was not done. I know how many souls have died there. And when you are traveling to Lagos, when you are going, you count number of accidents. As you are coming, the other day I see trailers of glass. This broke the trailers and they go glass. Different things are being spoiled on that road. I can't remember the year I traveled to Ekbomasa. If you look at the budget that have been budgeted for that road, look, if I have a farm in my village, how will I transport my gari to Bini? All these things should be what should bother us. For 16 years, this thing has been there. They will not have some. My brother knew quite well that by logistic, it is easier to destroy than to build. I will be living in a full paradise, like the Bible said, if I begin to expect a destruction for 16 years to just begin to manifest in 2 years. That is my pain. Because if this Benin-Onchi road was good, we will not be asking this government to make it, to move it from 2 lane to maybe 10 lane. But the one lane now, one lane is not good. There is no trunk A road in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sir, that is good. And from 1999 to 2016, go to the statistical board, Nigeria realized from crude oil alone close to 100 billion, 100 trillion. Mention one thing that thing was used for. Naman Gate is a practical display of the heartless leaders we have over time. Those were pensions money, sir. People that serve this nation honestly. And today, most of them are dying in the streets. Then we are just a government that is talking about it and we say is pretending.
My brother, what about Professor Yusuf, NHIS? Does that one happen 3 years ago?
Listen.
No, we are talking about
the
issue.
The issue is clear. The issue is clear that for once there is a courage, there is a commitment.
Where is the courage now? Panel report submitted and the law does not take its course. Where is the courage?
After the panel report was submitted, has this government
Abayari submitted, nothing come out. FGM submitted, nothing come out. DGNIA submitted, nothing come out. Even the Federal Secretary of NHIS was boasting that Minister of Health cannot do anything.
It's taking my time.
Let him. I'll come back to you in a moment.
It's taking my time. Those are the issue.
Just go.
No matter the name you mention, just point one that is being prosecuted now that has not been found. I mean that this case is not genuine. You cannot prosecute everybody over time. I watched a minister yesterday on your sister channel. She said she have about 30-something thousand staff that she meant. And the system she meant there was horrible for these past years. How do you expect me, just one person, and maybe about 3 of us that came there new, to change a system that have been rotting for 16 years within a year plus that she's been there now? It's a gradual thing. The joy is that we should begin to, like the vice president said, I watched him that day when he said, look, he see a Nigerian that was great. The foundation is being laid now. Amen. And I saw a man of God, sir, asking him, vice president is a president, asking him, are you still a pastor?
Our vice president is a pastor. That's what you wanted to say.
Yes, he's a pastor. Yeah. Another pastor, because he made that comment, I read it on paper, I pity myself. He asked him, are you still a man of God? You see, there are certain, because the vice president is not fighting the president the way they expected. The man is exhibiting high degree of humility and portraying the personality he represents. People are complaining. Okay. That a report was panel was set up. They submitted the report. And the man, who told you that the man is not working on the report? The tenure, at least, it will still be there till 2019. Let us be patient. And there is a policy of whistleblowing. Let me advise my friend and others who know that there are criminals. Blow the whistle.
The one that is on ground.
Which one have you blow? Which one have you blow? That the government said it's not their headache.
Just hold on, I'll come to you.
These are the issues.
Okay.
Let us be practical. He said panel cannot indict. The Amechi he mentioned. Why is Amechi a slogan? Over time, since he came Amechi. This is a man that Wike set up panel against in his state, and the panel submitted the report. They did not indict him as a person. They indicted his government. And Wike white paper report, they indicted him as a person. Conflicting. And the head of that panel was a judge of from the state. So when we begin to pursue shadow, ignore substance, that is the problem. Okay, the problem of corruption, that is why it is, you see, the elite is an elite issue. They begin to breach the story of tribal, the story of religion, to perpetually enslave us. That's what they have been doing, and they have been having their way. Now that somebody is there, not listening to them, that is where all these noise are coming from. Okay. And I was just reading a report of somebody that was a former vice president, talking so many things. He was there for 8 years. Corruption was dancing haywire. It's not telling you how to restructure. It's not telling you how to fight corruption. There are certain things, in fact, we should begin to think of what to do to some of those leaders who have taken their time in the time they were having to loot this nation dry. They should not talk. They have lost the moral justification to even talk.
Isn't that an allegation? Anyway, I'll pause it there, Christian Osegali. Let me bring Bishop Austin Igbasa in. Back to the administrative panel and its impact on the fight against corruption. You wanted to say something a while ago.
Yes. Administrative panel submitted a report. Like my brother now, I wouldn't expect him to speak contrary. I expected what he's saying now, and it's more. I don't expect something lesser than what he's saying, but it is very practical. What my pain is that as we are talking here, our children are listening to us. When I say our children, I'm talking about those people we are older than, and that are looking at us as pace setter or pathfinder. They look at us as a torch bearer who give them torchlight to see the future. Now, I'm talking as Jesus-tician. I'm not talking as a politician, but my brother is talking as a politician. But me, I'm talking as Jesus-tician, as a man who is standing for the masses. And that is why I said just now, even a fool in this country know that panel of inquiry does not have power to say this man go to jail. And if a panel of inquiry has been set up and they have submitted their report, and it's taking us 100 years. Let me refresh the memory of my brother to Minister of State for Petroleum. He wrote a letter at the beginning of August. Until the letter got leaked after 60 days, nothing was done. And eventually, what has happened to the matter? Almost at the end, the man was almost being judged as the evil person. After analyzing that due process are not followed, he raised some vital issues that when such an issue comes to a government that is fighting corruption, the first thing you do is to go on it very, very urgently and call the people, those who are mandated by law, to look into it. Is it true that the GMD of NFPC is giving this appointment without a recourse to the chairman's input? Is it true that the president made Kachiku to act on his capacity, and the guy is boycotting and doing all these things? These are things that police ought to. GMD of NFPC, is there any immunity on him?
You didn't read the report of the vice president.
Just listen, please. Listen.
My brother, just listen,
please.
What I'm saying is that why should it take 60 days, 75 days on that vital issue? What is the man mentioned some amount of money? Look at the issue of Inspector General of Police that was raised. At the end of the day, presidency wrote and even sued the senator who came up to say, let us look at this issue. The man didn't say, let us look at it. He has not said, send this man to jail.
Look at the issues you are picking. Christian
Osegali, you know, when we interject, we make the discussion rowdy. Remember, we have millions of people watching us all across the world. So we take our turns, please.
Now, well, if somebody says Inspector General of Police, look at it. In another sane society, in this country, an Inspector General of Police have been fired. In the days of President Obasanjo, was fired. The man we are talking about is a Yoruba man. The president is a Yoruba man, but he was not sentimental about what was on ground. He fired the man and appointed the next person to take charge. What stops the powers that be to ask, IG, these are allegations against you. You cannot be a judge in your own matter. Step down for a little while. If you are vindicated by the investigation panel of police or EFCC or ICPC, you'll be called back into your office back. Is there any immunity for IG or police that he cannot be invited and that another person cannot sit down and investigate his attitude? Now, Buratai matter came up. We are talking just now about, we say, when we came into power, the president said anybody that have house, any civil servant that have house outside the country, if corruption is going to trail it, we are going to seize it, we are going to confiscate it. At the end of the day, Buratai did not come out to say anything. It was presidency. The president said everything the man acquired and bought for his wife was from one particular source. And now you want somebody to sit down, because without Buratai, no other person can become chief of army staff. No other person can do the work and do it effectively well, and it cannot be indicted because he's a saint. So it is only somebody that is not following the trend of things. If it takes Kashiku letter 75 days to be attended to after there was outcry, and at the end of the day, the whole thing has gone into, by the grace of God, has gone into the trash can. The issues that were raised, due process, appointment, doing this one without recourse to this, even when president was not around and he was in London, all those decisions that are taken, Kachiku case has been knocked to somewhere. Now we talk about MTN scam of Chief Abayari. It has also been laid to rest. And all of us knew that panel of inquiry does not have power. It's not a court of competent jurisdiction. If they have made their finding, the next thing that happens is to call the law enforcement agent to begin to investigate this person. If there's a political will and something was discovered and we said panel does not have power, what stops us of calling the police? This is the report, the outcome of the report, and we are calling the ICPC to take over this matter and investigate. The people we are talking about now, they are all seated, they have power and influence on that place. Is it when all the evidences that will be used against them by police and EFCC will have been destroyed? That is when we will bring the report out and ask them. And at the end of the day, you see that the empty report will come up with nothing. If we have the political will to close the account of a sitting governor, and we don't have the political will to deal with people that are in our own government and we sit together, imagine a man alleged with glaring issues and we are sitting together discussing the issue about this nation. We are talking about budget just now. Lagos Calabar Railway. 2016 it was in budget, 2017 it was in budget. Go to that place. I came from Lagos yesterday. Go and see if there's any acts on ground. And we are preparing budget for 2018. Budget party and all the rest, everything has been laid to rest. Now I say it emphatically that all these issues, they are tactical way of keeping keeping these cases inside the trash can. If people did not shout, will anybody know that minor is in government? Look at what the family of Minor said. The family of Minor came out and they told us that Minor was invited. It was in Punch that Minor was invited to this country to come and help them do some things in government. That was what the head of the family said. That nobody should rubbish the name of their family. That they have documents. That when the right time comes, they will come out with all the documents that they're going to use to back up what they are saying.
Okay. If you just join us, it's still TMI Monday. Hope you're getting a feel of the discussion today, looking at the issue of administrative panel and prosecution and how it impacts on the fight against corruption. Whether it's in the positive direction or is in the negative direction, the choice or the side that you want to stay is yours. Shortly, our studio line will be open so you can also make an input into the discussion, because it looks like in this fight against corruption, there is no end in sight as to when new entrants will come into the polity. But one thing that many Nigerians have been expecting from the government is the list of those who have been found wanting in this war against corruption. Those who have been alleged or accused of siphoning money, dipping their hands into the till. That's one list Nigerians have been waiting for the present administration to make available, so we know exactly who has dipped his hand into the till. Comrade, yes, have you been expecting that list? Or that list is not necessary in terms of the discussion that we have nationally on the fight against corruption?
I'm one of those that is honestly expecting the list. But the joy I have is that we're not expecting lists. Before, what we were expecting were the will to fight corruption. Now we're not expecting the list of the name. Okay. It's a good thing. Okay. For instance, we'll see them rotting in jail. It's a gradual thing, like I said. You know, like he said, I speak like a politician. I don't have option. You know.
No, I was the one who said it. He wasn't the one who said
said so. He equally said so. Okay. It's as if you are listening to. I hope you are not. I need your protection, yes, sir.
Of course, I'm protecting you.
He speaks more even like a politician than myself.
Yeah, but the average human being is a politician.
Yes, so we should agree on that. But he speaks more of a politician than myself. Yeah. Because when he mentions issues, he will not reflect the other side. Because he talked about the Minor family. And I read what the spokesman for the president said. They don't listen to the family. So what were the research you conducted that will make you to now agree that it's a Minor family that we accept and ignore the other side? Then look at the issue of the vice president
and the GMD and NPC.
GMD. Yeah. He completely ignored the side of the vice president. And the vice president has been meticulous in answering this question. He said, actually, when this thing happened, I was the acting president. Yes. And good enough, I did not take up the function of the Minister of Petroleum. That was the Buhari was the Minister of Petroleum.
Yeah.
He only handed over to him as the president, acting president. And the vice president said, I did not take up the responsibility of the Minister of Petroleum.
Yes.
So what the DG did was in order.
Okay, let me just have our first caller on the line. Hello, caller. Good morning. Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling from. Yes, Bishop, go ahead with your contribution.
The Buhari administration, it has become doubtful, and the panel for fighting against corruption is becoming the project of in one aspect. And I believe I will concur with my brother. My bishop was talking there. I can see that in our philosophy view, what is happening today in reality, corruption is even higher now than the time of people we are talking about. Because an hungry man must subscribe to construction. All the people that have been targeted so far in this one administration, who are in the same party, APC, no one will be brought to book. We only hear panic. They think go to into bush. But I feel posterity will speak as soon as possible.
All right, thank you. Our first caller, who is also a bishop, is in line with what his fellow bishop has said so far on the program. Anyway, that's just on the lighter side. Our studio line is on. You can call it and be part of the discussion on the impact of panels and prosecution on the fight against corruption. Yeah, you were saying something
Yes,
before
like
the
I
course has
said,
come.
the vice president has been clear on this issue. And he said, since I refuse to take the position of the Minister of Petroleum, and again, what the DG did was in order, because it's not the board that I work contra, it's the tender board. Now, he did not measure that aspect, that they was just emphasizing the issue
the appointment of all those people.
No, it's listing. Myself and yourself, we are not there.
But this,
so listing, we work with.
Handed over to the man that is chairman.
Bishop, just be calm. I've said that a number of times. Just be calm. Yeah.
We, it's not there. I'm not there. We are basing our information from two sides. But by the time you begin to pick facts from only one side, there's a bigger problem. Because it's our duty to listen to both sides and balance. Until at the end of the day, we now know that this is the side that is really saying the truth. Okay. But honestly, I don't expect the vice president to be lying to the nation. And whatever those people, the other camp have said, if you observe now, over time, Kachiko has remained calm. Like he said, I think Kachiko.
We have our next caller on the line. Hello, caller. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, what's your name and where you calling from?
I'm a weapons.
Just turn down the volume of your TV.
Right.
Turn it down a little bit to remove the echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, good morning. What I'm going to say is the basic point of all these actions actually has been because of the one-sidedness the other man is talking about. First of all, I have to say good morning to my bishop. And again, this whole thing has to be taken from a gradual process. It's not about conclusion on who's right or wrong. The whole issue depends on everybody. I don't know if you are getting me, sir. Hello?
We're listening to you. Anyway, the point is well received. Thank you very much. Let me come to Bishop. Yeah, okay. Hello, caller. Good morning. Yeah, please turn down the volume. Turn down the volume on your TV to remove the echo so we can hear you clear.
Hello?
Turn down the volume of your television set to
Hello?
remove the echo. Good morning. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Hello, go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, we lost that call. We hope you can also get back to us as quickly as possible and contribute to the discussion. Yes, quickly and call the point. Yeah.
Yes, the point we should be making is when we look at both sides of the equation, it balances the system. Because when a report has been submitted, like he said, I'm not disputing the fact that a panel does not have power there, but it's not the issue. The issue is that a panel have done their job and they have submitted the report.
Yeah.
And the president have not announced to us, this nation, that I have ignored that report, I have thrown it away. And the tenure is still on. The EFCC said the other day that since the policy of whistleblowing started, they have received over 5,000 whistleblowing. And they have been able to attend to less than 3,000. That means even from that date till now, a lot has come up. Can Can they just take the whole thing once? My point is this: let us tell this nation that there is a, because we don't have any other nation. This is our Nigeria. This is Nigeria. This belongs to all of us. Let's tell ourselves that this country will be good, and the process has started.
Okay.
Now that we are expecting the list, like I'm equally expecting, like I said earlier, before we are expecting the fight to start. It has started. We are expecting the list.
Yeah.
This list will certainly come. It's a gradual thing.
All right. Let's pursue there and attend to this caller. Caller, you're live on the program TMI. Our discussion is on. Give us your thoughts, your views, your opinion. But first, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Collins.
Where's Collins calling from?
Benin.
Yes, go ahead, Collins.
Yeah, I only do a question. I thank every one of you for what you have been saying since. But there is one thing I must tell you. I must be very sincere with you. Our leaders in this country, they are not sincere. They are not sincere to us. And I believe that even the saint is yet to be unborn. Because if you...
What happened? Did we lose that call? Oh dear. Just at the point you were... Hello, caller, good morning. Our next caller is actually on the line. Hello, caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Could you speak up a little bit so we can hear you? Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Paul.
We can barely hear you. Okay. Please turn down the audio level on your TV set to remove the echo. Turn it down. Turn down the audio level on your TV set to remove the echo.
Okay, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Benin. I'm Ogada.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And really, the leaders of this country is not telling us the truth of what is happening. Like what the bishop said, he pointed out many cases that they just swept under the carpet. And till today, we don't have answers to those questions. And now we are talking of this MENA, and we don't yet they have not given us the real fact about the issue. So I don't really know what is really happening in this country. How are we going to continue with this way without getting answers?
Okay, that's a big question, but I believe that something is being done. Maybe some of us, by virtue of our own understanding, we're yet to see much of it here. But hello, good morning. Our next caller is on the line. Caller, yes, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Apostle Ikechukwu. I'm calling you from Ekawa Road.
Yes, Apostle Ikechukwu, go ahead with your contribution. But turn down the volume of your TV set. Turn down the volume of your TV set or move back a little bit to remove the echo.
Okay, actually, I think the bishop is telling us exactly what's happening. I know there's something called an executive order on some of the reports that comes out of committees like this that are said that are powerless.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it takes for the executive order to be issued when it comes to the outcomes of such panels. So we have panels that deals with issues of corruption, people indicted. You know, there should be an executive order for the those in charge of prosecution to take up these matters and either clear them or get them convicted and get the punishment. But we have a history where politicians bring politicians as corrupt people and later let them go. This is part of the corruption also, because if I deal with you now and you come back next time, you will deal with me. So we keep playing the game round. It's like a vicious cycle.
Okay, thank you, Apostle Ikechukwu, for your contribution. Our next caller is on the line. Hello, good morning, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning. You're live on the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Benin.
Yes, go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Okay. What I want to contribute about the whole issue is I want the politicians to stick to heart. They should forget the ideal of always trying to give us excuses, especially talking about the past previous government. The essence of voting in this government is because we needed the actually expecting them to provide them, not reminding us of the past, of what has happened before. You understand?
Yeah.
So the essence of voting APC is to change what is already on ground. So don't start reminding us of what has already passed. So that is not that will not bring the solution to the problem we have at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Hello, caller. Good morning. And next caller is on the line. Your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from? You're live on the program TMI Monday. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, I'm from
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Benin, Zio.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, my point is just a candid, the fight against the corruption by Buhari is just a scam, a fraud, and
Why did you say that? Why did you say that?
So because from what we have been saying, all the fight is just rubbish. You talk about the case of Mina, the case of Lawa, you talk about the case of Oke. Hello?
Yeah. These people, they've not been convicted by a court. You are just passing judgment on them.
Exactly.
And they're also passing judgment on the administration, which is not fair.
It's like they are going to sweep all the cases beneath the carpet. So it's like I'm so apart, by the fight of Buhari and the fight against corruption.
Okay, thank you for your views that you just expressed. Like we always say, our panelists here, they're expressing their views. If you have the opportunity to call into the program, the views that they express, they are not of the station, but they are entirely yours. Our next caller is on the line. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, what's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Gabriel from Benin.
Gabriel, go ahead with your contribution.
I want to salute the bishop for all he has accomplished so far in that place.
Okay.
The APC government were coming on board. They said they were coming for the church.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that Comrade Sarah is talking about a government that left power about 3-4 years ago. So we expected APC to rise up to the occasion, give us results. They are supposed to call EFCC to take over finance case, and take over by Harry case, take over the case of the SGF, and of course the NIA, so that we start getting results. Nigerians are tired of complaining. Nigerians are tired of hearing Jonathan Goodluck administration again and again in APC administration. APC should do their job. They should focus and give Nigerians the desired result, what they campaign with.
Okay, we have to take you so we can get the opportunity to someone else. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, what's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Sapele Road in Benin City.
Yes, go ahead, Emmanuel.
Please, I want to contribute to the issue of fight against corruption in Nigeria.
That's why we give you the opportunity now. Go ahead.
Okay. And the president, in his statement, I could remember very well that the president said that there's a need for Nigeria to fight against corruption, to make sure that we kill corruption in this country. That if we fail to kill corruption in this country, that corruption will kill us. But I'm beginning to see corruption fighting us back as a government, as a country. The issue of corruption that they've been leveled against the Inspector General of Police. The presidency cannot fail to take absolute action against these issues. It should begin to act on the litigation level against this, the Inspector General of Police and MENA, the issue of MENA. Somebody that was declared wanted in this country, come back to this country and gain employment into the civil service in this country without due process not follow. He should be arrested. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I think we just pause on the calls for a moment. I know that more and more people wanted to call and then come back to the studio here where Bishop has been waiting. Now, Bishop, we talked about the expected list of those who have returned money. That's been on for as far as I can remember. But this will be good. But is that what Nigerians really want, as a matter of fact?
Now, I think to me, the list, people have really agitated for the list to come. And there have been divergent view about the list coming up. Me, I'm more of the opinion that we should know what was looted, what has been returned, because we keep hearing from time to time, we have returned looted funds. And I think about 2 weeks ago, thereabout, the Minister of Finance said we will continue to borrow to stabilize the economy. That is the best way to go. And me, I'm of the opinion that if people that we have recovered a lot of money, we should be able to know who recovered, how much was brought from Mr. A. Oh, Mr. 17 stole 17 billion. We're able to recover 12 billion. And that 12 billion, we want to use it, we want to use to do a flyover in so place. Oh, so that money that is recovered, we want to use it on agriculture in so state. That is what this list is long expected and is long overdue. That we should know the list of people who returned money and how much is remaining. And not only the list that is more important, we should also know that the recovered loot, where is the recovered loot? What has happened to the recovered loot? If we have so much money recovered, why should we go and borrow? Is it an exercise for us to have recovered loot and still say, well, let's keep the loot and go and borrow? If we have money at home, there's no need of us going to borrow. What the excess of that recovered loot is that we should be able to use it to better the life of the masses. So the list coming out, the looted money coming out, the list is not as important to me as the looted fund. And the looted fund, there must not be story about it. The looted fund must be returned, and we say this is what we want to do, and the masses must be carried along with it, because that is the best way to go. That A returns so amount of money, though he took 20 billion, we were able to get 15. And this 15, we are going to use it to concentrate on seaport at Gelegele. We are going to pay this money, and this is what we want to do with it. It is not going to be recovered money, being recovered, and it's still passing the same route. Like I said just now when I was talking, the executive secretary of NHIS has barely spent 1 year in office. He was accused, and even his minister of health that he was directly under wrote a letter and indicted him and did that. The man said nobody can remove me here. And up to today, the man is seated in his office. Professor Yusuf is sitting in his office, and you want to tell me that a minister of health who set up a panel and said this is what has happened, this is the money that has gone through this man, I think 919 million naira was through that man. And the man was bold to tell you that the act that established this thing does not give you power to do this and that for me. And the man is seated today, and nothing has happened to him. So if a man is bold, and we have the same thing in GMD, where the GMD of NFPC does not respect Minister of State, and it's even bold to tell him that there is no act, the act that established NFPC does not respect Minister of State. My brother said just now that the Vice President said, I'm the acting president at that time, and Minister of Petroleum was not handed over to me. But Mr. President personally told the GMD that this is your chairman, this man will act as a chairman. What then stopped the GMD of NFPC of relating, if somebody is acting president and somebody is president who gave the power to your Minister of State to be a chairman of the board, and the appointment and not the rest. Kachiku raised some important point, apart from the award of it. Acting president said, I signed loan, I didn't sign the other one. That was one. And if you look at those issues, the issues raised by Kachiku that are very vital today, so all the appointment that Kachiku complained about that must go through the chairman. Thank God the vice president was acting president, and Minister of Petroleum was not handed over to him, but Minister of Petroleum was handed over to Kachiku as chairman, that the president that have the power told the GMD. What stopped the GMD of relating with that guy in that capacity of chairman? Is it that Osinbajo have power more than the president who told the GMD that this man will act as the chairman? An appointment, is it all the appointment in NFPC? Is it the act telling the GMD to unilaterally appoint people, reshuffle people without recourse to the chairman of the board? So these are issues that we must look at. I am not an anti-government person, but I am trying to say that the Bible says by their fruit we shall know that the fruit of a tree is the manifestation of the tree. If people surround me as my chief, and I cannot be able to. Another was installed recently in Nigeria, and the man sanitized his palace. And even everybody within the area where the Oba was operating, everybody sat tight, because when they saw the way the man started with his own executive, they knew that the person in power knows what he's doing, has a direction of where he's going. If police want to investigate this panel that we are talking about, it does not take police 1 week to do a painstaking investigation of the SGF. The place we are talking about is not east. How many hours does it take them to fly there? The documents are there. If police, Nigeria police is one of the best police in the world, that when they want to do something, they will do it painstakingly, and you see the result coming out. What stops us from pushing it? Is it when we have entered January now, when everybody is talking of campaign now? My brother is saying there is still more years. There is still more years. We have entered campaign year. That people are already talking of buying form for Mr. President to come for the second time. So how many people are going to have attention on all these reports that had to do with the cardinal point of Mr. President? Yesterday, almost all the chieftain of APC all over the federation were all saying, do the sack this man, sack SDF, sack SDF. If people in your own house, I'm not a politician, I'm a Jesusician, and I'm talking on behalf of the masses. If people in the same party who are all over the federation said, take this step, this is your own. The integrity of Mr. President is at stake if these things are not handled, because people are looking at it that, oh, Mr. F is corrupted. He was taken to court. He was done this one. Yes, he did that one. But this man with you sitting together, how do you explain it? Even in church, when you have a deacon who is messing up. I have a case in one of our branch now of an elderly man who writes a small short note to a young girl. I treated it yesterday. I treated the case. I gathered all the letters that the man was writing for that small girl. I told the girl to be collecting the letter from that elderly man. And I treated it because that man is a position of authority. And if I didn't do that, from the family of that girl would think maybe that is what the bishop is doing. And definitely as a leader, the buck stop at your table. Minor case is a celebrated case, even in the time of Jonathan. Nobody will say minor is a hidden person. If people in government said the man go with convoy, that if EFCC had the will to arrest him, they should have arrested him almost a year ago. That the man does not hide himself, he goes with convoy. And you want to tell me that there are no sacred cows? You want to tell me that is not corruption? Okay. When pensioners have died and somebody was alleged that the matter is before a court of competent jurisdiction, who gave the order to Minister of Justice to quash all those cases that are important to reinstate the man? As we are talking today, is the man supposed to be sitting on his position? Step aside. Let somebody take this thing. When we round up all the investigation, if you have vindicated, Minister, you come back on board. After all, he's the chief law officer of this federation.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. That's how much time will permit us on the show today. TMI on our discussion segment, looking at the impacts of panels, administrative panels, and then prosecution in the fight against corruption. Now, one clear major pullout in all of this is that the level of awareness is increasing. Some have even said that the fact that these things are happening now with this government in place and nobody is being shielded in a sense, it's healthy for our democracy, it's healthy for governance. But Nigerians are also becoming very watchful. Each time this issue is raised, the media is awash, especially social media, which means we want Nigeria to be better. We want Nigeria to be a great country. We recognize the fact that we are all stakeholders and we have a duty to make this country a better place. And that's the reason you see the level of reactions that trail all of this issue. We hope that due process will be followed in dealing with this issue. An administrative panel is not enough for someone to be taken to court. The administrative panel's report will be reviewed and then a white paper produced from that panel's report, which will now become a document for some of the investigative agencies to take over from and then work on. Until that is done, all of this will just be an exercise in futility. Most of the comments made by people is against the background that the administrative panels have been set up, they have met, conducted their investigation, they have made a report or recommendation, and nothing seems to be going on after that is done. I'm sure when we begin to take decisive actions on the report of this administrative panel, I'm sure Nigerians will be happier and then, of course, applaud and commend this administration in its fight against corruption. That's why we call it a wrap on this segment of the show. If you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you've got what it takes to represent the brand Miss ITV Hot Legs Beauty Pageant 2017, this is one opportunity that you have. We have 10 forms we're giving out free today. All you've got to do is to call into the program. We get out on calls immediately after this short break. But first, let me thank Comrade Christian Segale for the time with us today on the show.
Thank you so
as
much.
well as Bishop Austin Igbasa. Thank you so much for the time you
sir.
spent with us. And to all our callers who contributed to the discussion, we appreciate you so much.